Hi, I'm Norah O'Donnell, and this is Person to Person. Our guest today is Bono.
Bono is the frontman for U2. The Irish rock band has sold more than 157 million albums and won 22 Grammys, more than any other group. He's not just a rock star. Born Paul Hewson, he's also an artist, global activist, and even an honorary knight. Bono talks about his legendary life in his new memoir, Surrender, 40 songs, one story.
Hello.
So we went to Dublin to see Bono's Ireland, the place where U2 was born and launched into superstardom.
Why is it titled Surrender?
You know, I have spent a lot of my life with my fists up, metaphorically and sometimes literally. I'm a combative type person, that is well known, and I'm trying to get to a place where I know what to fight for and what to let go of, and that I needed to surrender because I feel the gift that I was born with. You know, I woke up with melodies in my head, honestly, as a kid. I knew I had that inside me. And then it was liberation to join U2 and become a songwriter.
For many people, though, you know, music is something to surrender to.
Yeah, that's it. In a way, it's the sweet surrender. It's a gift, and you've got to be careful with gifts that you don't put a high enough price on them because they're free.
When did you go from Paul Hewson to Bono?
Ostensibly, it was the names we gave each other, and I had many names, the most reasonable of which was Bono. It doesn't sound great in certain places in the world. Across the water there, I'm called Bono, which I don't love, and I'm grateful to be called anything. But in Italy, they say Bono, and that makes me feel very good.
But Bono is short for something.
I can see you're not going to let this one go, but it was Bono Vox of O'Connell Street. That was my teenage name.
You write about your childhood. You say you were angry as a child, and at points describing yourself as having a lot of rage. How did you manage that into adulthood?
I'm still managing it, but there's some anger I think is appropriate, don't you think? There's a righteous anger at the unfairness of things. That's a good anger. I'll keep a hold of that one. But there's another kind of rage, which I'm partly trying to figure out in the book, which is I'm just not quite in control of. There's something in me. Like, they put a punch bag under the stage for me for many years because I'd come off stage with U2 for a break and I'd have to beat the shite out of the boxing bag, you know?
Sometimes you scream at your bandmates.
Yeah, in the band, early days, I'm sure, insufferable. And they were very good about it, really. And occasionally they would fight back. Never pick a fight with a man who earns his living with hand-to-eye coordination. Edge certainly has a very fast right hook.
Yeah.
He's taken me out.
So many people in your life you've been friends with since you were boys and girls.
Yeah, communities are the very heart of, I think, U2's music. It's a very Irish thing that everybody I needed on the road to wherever I was going were right there. Everybody I needed was right there. I just had to see it. You have the people you need much closer to you than you realize sometimes. And that's the story of U2.
Just the idea of how this band started.
It's preposterous, isn't it? Yeah.
It is.
There was magic, you know, that's all we had. We didn't have anything else. And of course, there was a desperation to get out of there and desperate to make something of our lives. For me, rock and roll was liberation. I mean, I could not. Once I found, wow, I'm able to write songs and other people aren't. Wow. And it was like breaking out of whatever jail I was in.
It's so rare that any relationship lasts decades, much less a rock band. What do you think the secret is?
It's getting harder. You know, the band has nearly broken up several times, usually after the good albums, because they really cost you in the studio. The male ego, in particular, I think gets more brittle, and the ability to sublimate, to surrender to each other, which is essential for a band, gets harder.
You worry a lot about becoming irrelevant. Does that still bother you?
You're about to be irrelevant. And that's okay, but you don't want to give it up so easily. It's relevant to who is the real question. Songwriters always want to get to the younger audience, but at a certain point, the younger audience just don't return that love.
Did you find in writing and reflecting, you found something out about yourself that you didn't know?
I got a bit bored with the subject of the book.
Which was yourself?
Yes.
Is that why it took 7 years?
Yeah, that and the bad typing. But I wrote the book to explain myself, to myself largely, and to my family and to my kids, and to explain, what was I doing, when I was away and when I was at home.
What scared you most about success?
Finally feeling successful, because the thing that drives me is more fear of failure than anything else. But success, U2's been playing stadiums for 4 decades in our own right. It's kind of incredible. So imagine a football team or something that keep winning the Super Bowl.
Right.
It's the same players.
Yeah.
It's a bit mad.
You wrote about the dirty little secrets of success. What are some of the dirty secrets of success?
People who are at the top of what they do are clearly not doing a lot of other things. They're focused on one thing. And that is not necessarily great for your family or your friends. Your strengths become your weaknesses. I'm trying to get to grips with it, and eventually I'll pay for a shrink, and if you're up for the gig, I'll be ready.
Never been to a shrink?
I have, actually. I did. I went to some anger management.
Did it help?
Got very angry with the dude. He was very wise man. Yeah, I'm not joking.
So when you think about rock stars, you don't think about someone who reads Kafka or scriptures or Tolstoy or...
Right.
And you're that person.
Yeah. I mean, I've put this book together. It's 40 tales. It's almost like short stories. That you can get in and out of them. I wanted to call it 40 Tall Tales from a Short Rock Star.
You even listed a lot of different things you wanted to call it.
I know. Surrender.
Yeah.
The only thing I can't do.
And when we come back, we join Bono at his local Irish pub for a pint and a rare interview with his wife. So this is home now.
This has been home for 33 years.
I mean, the bar isn't home.
Well,
It is Ireland.
I have laid my tired head here on occasions, I'll be honest with you. But yeah, no, these are great people, Finnegans. I think you might like them. Let me open the door, hold on. Here you go.
Thank you.
The Americans are here. And so's the bad weather. These are the Finnegans.
How are you?
Bono took us to his local Irish pub, Finnegan's of Dalkey, for tea and obviously a Guinness.
How often do you come here?
Not as much as I'd like to, and more than I should. The pub in Ireland is a different thing than perhaps it is elsewhere, and our kids at 18 will come here, and it's a kind of ritual. But mostly with my father, if I'm honest. The more important encounters I had with my father was sitting right where we are right now. This is the table, and then we would sort of sit there and not talk to each other. But getting to know each other and all of that. I've written about it in the book at this very table.
Do you feel like your father was proud of you?
Yes, in the end, yeah.
You write at one point in the books about how a parent can parent. You can say, oh, you're so great at what you do, or they can reserve that, and both ways can be motivating.
You can tell them they're extraordinary and everything that comes out of their mouth is interesting, or you can just ignore them.
Which was your father?
My father definitely followed the latter advice, and it worked very well.
Did that motivate you, that you had something to prove to your father?
Yes, I'm very grateful
Yeah.
for my father. I wish I was more there for my father, actually, and grateful for the gift of this voice. When he passed away, I feel something changed in my voice. Ali said went through a period of a little more attitude, a little more angry, but I eventually let go of that. I think now I have a voice that even my father might approve of.
I loved that part of the book. I have it right here. You talk about the final gift that you got from your father. You write, "What changed for me was my voice. I felt I got an extra couple of notes on my range. I felt I was becoming a real tenor as opposed to a pretend one."
If you listen to the early recordings, I hear it's a volcanic thing, but I'm singing out of my body. And that's its communication. But the instrument is more expressive now, and I think I know what to do with it more. And strangely enough, the person who got me to a place where I could sing was an opera. So my dad's operas came around, and you two were a rock and roll band. Some people say we're the loudest folk band, but it's opera really. I mean, if you think of they're big emotions, big songs, big feelings, and we're not trying to be cool. Do you know what I mean? Where our music is much hotter than that. It's much more Italian.
And did your father want to be an opera singer, or?
My father had that thing, which sounds so nihilistic, but it wasn't at all, which is to have dreams is to be disappointed.
Wow.
So don't have them.
Wow.
And growing up in Ireland was grim. So you didn't really have those kinds of things. He was incredibly talented, but his ambitions were not to take that as far as he could. It was just to have the life, and he certainly did.
How was it dealing with fame here in Ireland as opposed to in the rest of the world?
Well, we have a very complicated relationship with success, let's put it that way. So we've had to retrain ourselves to actually not look down on success. It's just a funny thing, because Americans, you really look up to success.
Sure.
And the old story is, one day I'm going to live in that mansion on the hill. No, I live on a nice house, so I'd rather we get over that bit. But it suits us, our family.
Yeah. Did Ali walk in?
She's walking in.
Oh,
How did you know that?
I don't know. I guess
Ali, she's a witch. She's a witch. Burn her.
Ali Hewson and Bono have been together as long as U2. The two just celebrated their 40th wedding anniversary.
You don't do many interviews, right?
Very few. As few as I can possibly do.
How many years have you guys known each other?
Some days it feels like 100 years. But in reality, it's about 46. Is it?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
40 years married.
Well, we met in school. We met in high school, so...
Hey, look, as if.
Now the party
Celebration
started.
and the black bush for my dad.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
for that,
you.
man. Thank you.
Most rock stars don't stay married 40 years.
Well, a lot of people don't stay married 40 years. There's no secret. It's work.
I find that very hurtful. She calls it the work of love, and I'm like, I can feel the adjective hard coming. The hard work.
But that's
and
true.
I take that. I wasn't. I don't know. I just feel it was a lot of fun.
I think that's keeping it light was going to be my next line.
Really?
Okay, yeah, it was.
Oh, wow.
I think adding fun in is really important, and remembering why you married somebody at times. And the rest is, it's easy. There's days when you're really grateful that you kept it together, and then there's days where you're not so grateful. But it's amazing.
We started dating the week I joined U2. I was 16, Ali was 15. It's a good week.
Yeah, but you describe in the book seeing her for the first time in school.
Yeah. She was wearing a tartan skirt that I think her mother made, and
Still have it.
Do you really?
and I think were you wearing the Wellingtons? You might have.
Probably.
So do you call him Bono, not Paul?
Pretty much, I call him a lot of things.
Paul is not one of them.
Please tell us. What do you call him?
Paul is not one of them. That
Really?
is true.
Listen, let's just drink to our
Here we go. Good health.
our 40 years together. This
Cheers.
is going very well anyway. Thank you for coming.
So you dedicated the book to Ali. What did you think when you first read it?
I was very nervous about what was going to go in that book. But I think he's an incredible writer. It just seems to be anything he turns his hand to, he can do, which is very annoying most of the time.
I mean, you're married to Bono, but there are 3 other men in this marriage: The Edge, Larry, and Adam. How was
Absolutely.
dealing with that?
Amazing, because they're amazing guys. And I think in many ways, without them, we may not be 40 years married. If there's something that has really helped us get where we are and raise our kids, it was the decision that all the band took, which was to stay in Ireland. You know, they keep you down to earth here. And that has been a huge gift for us in our marriage and with our kids growing up.
Ali, I love the way he writes about you in this book.
Thank you.
It's both humbling and invigorating to notice all the ways in which your partner is tougher than you. Do you think you're tougher than he is?
No, I don't.
He
Maybe.
does. Yeah.
Well, we have different strengths. That's the truth. I could not get up on stage. I could not, interviews are not a natural thing for me. I can't do the public end of it, but I can do the private end of it. And, I think that's maybe why it works too.
Another thing that you wrote, Bono, rather than falling in love, we were climbing up toward it. We still are.
Yeah. Our relationship began with, of course, the obvious, romance and flirtation, but it quickly moved into friendship. And I think that's a real part of who we are. The most important line that you said to me years ago, which was, don't look up at me or down at me, look across at me, I'm there.
You wanted to be treated as an equal.
Yeah, well, I think that's really important in every relationship, is that we all respect each other. And sometimes, I do feel that maybe, there's a little bit of, we both put each other a bit on a pedestal and sometimes under a pedestal, but it's just that keeping the balance, remembering who each other is and, always holding on to the truth of each other.
2 words, keep it real.
And when we come back, Bono shows us the school where he met Ali and his bandmates nearly 50 years ago.
I haven't been here for, 50 years.
Really?
You can't visit the Dublin that raised Bono without seeing the school where it all began, Mount Temple Comprehensive.
We properly learned how to be a band in this school.
Yeah.
And they were totally cool with it.
You do write in the book, too, that you weren't a very good cover band, but you were very good at playing your own music.
Yeah, it is interesting that you two learned to write our own music because we couldn't play anyone else. That's our secret. That's our dirty little secret.
That's pretty good, though.
But this room has a lot of feelings in it for me. And as I say, they're not all wonderful feelings.
Yeah.
Because I feel that thing about people who know they have a gift but don't know where to put it.
Yeah.
And thank God for this school and thank God for these people that I got there.
Well, you didn't know what your gift was then, but you had a...
I knew there was something there,
Yeah.
I knew it was music. I knew I had music. I knew other things, but there was something in me there, yeah. The first U2 show really was on this, outside here.
Oh, up right there.
Yeah.
That show was here in the schoolyard on a slab of concrete that acted as a stage.
How cool is this? Well, this is kind of like an arena almost.
Yeah, I mean, most people were looking the other way if they had ears. But wow, did it feel good to be
Yeah.
here. Beautifulness.
Do you remember that feeling of being on stage here, like one of the first times?
Yeah. Yeah, I remember the feeling. This feeling of, oh, this, I can do this.
Because some people say, you know, that feeling when you're on the stage and performing, it's like a drug.
Yeah. Yeah, that adrenaline, that feeling.
So you describe in the book being on the stage and the roar of the crowd is something that turns a mouse into a lion.
Right.
You don't seem like much of a mouse.
Well, before I go on stage, I can, and it's not uncommon for even the most bombastic of personalities to be a little nervous. And it's okay if you're going to just, phone it in. But in our band, every night has to be the best night of our life, or the best night of anyone's life. And it's absurd.
It's a high bar to meet.
It's like, come on. It's like, and we go at it like that. So that can make me, I can get quiet and, I need some fortification.
You want me to shout something?
You could try, hello, Dublin.
Hello, Dublin!
We do not have much talent.
We do not have much talent.
But we're very grateful you're here, and nevertheless.
But we're grateful you're here, nevertheless.
And you have to, if you're punk bands, you have to go 1, 2, 3, 4 in a kind of Cockney accent, which does not make any sense. But there you go. 1, 2, 3, 4.
1, 2, 3, 4.
That's a good Cockney accent.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
We've nothing to declare but our averageness.
And in one more sign of gratitude to the school that gave him so much, Bono wanted to leave a message.
It's this kind of behavior that ended you up in this school.
Yep, this is not good. Okay. I'm going to be sent to the headmaster's office.
Does it say Bono what?
Attempts to surrender.
That's awesome.